Today is midsummer. Well, it's not midsummer, it's sort of January the 8th, I think. And I thought we'd talk about how the plants have grown and show you the results of a couple of little experiments. These ones are the pink brandywines, and as you can see, they're around about a foot short of the top of the plant enclosure. These ones here, they're just like a smidgen short of the plant enclosure, and that's a green zebra and Kamado in there. This one is one of the Spence ox hearts, or I think they're ox hearts. They're a little bit short, but that's got a huge bow in the bottom of it, so like that's easily the best performer in my opinion. And it also has a bucket which, like the sun's over there, and this bucket here gets quite a lot of shade. Those two buckets there, they used to get quite hot until I put the silver insulation on them. Now their plants are almost up to the top of the enclosure, whereas over on the other side I left the buckets there also facing north. I left the buckets uncovered, so they'll get hotter. And what's happened is that the plants where I've covered the outside of the bucket with the silver insulation have definitely outperformed the plants where I haven't covered the buckets and I've allowed them to get a little bit hotter. Now I think that's rather interesting. So next year I'm going to pay a lot of attention to making sure that the buckets stay cool. In fact, I might even do it for the remainder of this year. Now, I'll just get you a close-up. You can see that we've got plenty of tomato plants, plenty of tomatoes, heaps of fruit. I've got good sort of size. There's a ripe one over here, which is plenty of size in those ones. The point I wanted to make is that when I started these plants off, I started them off on 300 parts per million on the 500 scale. I then went up to, I think it was about the 60-day mark, I went up to 400 parts per million, and around about just before Christmas, about the 90-day mark, I went up to 500 parts per million. Now it's the 120 or 125-day mark. I just put it up to 600 parts per million on the 500 scale. So, like, these plants haven't been overfed. You see all these things saying put it up to 3,000 or whatever. There's no way. I mean, how much bigger a tomato do you want? I mean, these things so far have not been fed anything more than 500 parts per million on the 500 scale. I think they're doing pretty good. I use Campbell's special tea, which probably won't be available where you are, but the formula's circled up in the right hand corner of the graphic there. I use 1 gram per litre. If I want to make it a little bit stronger, I could leave a little bit of the water out. I could also wait for the plant to transpire some of the water out of the nutrient mixture. I mix the special tea on its own, in its own bucket, and I add it on its own. I leave it at least 30 minutes, usually more than an hour, before I add some magnesium sulfate in the next bucket. Early in the season I've been tea bagging in some phosphorus granules, just putting phosphorus granules in a net in a bucket of water till I get about 200 to 250 parts per million of phosphorus. Then I add it to the mixture, but from next year I'll be using Campbell's High P. For every 20 grams of special tea that I use 10 grams of crystalline Epsom salts. Make sure it's the crystalline version because that's got 7 water molecules per magnesium molecule. If you use the powdered version, that's got no water in it. For every 20 grams of special tea that I use, I also use 20 grams of Campbell's calcium nitrate, which I dissolve in a bucket with 1 litre of water per gram of calcium nitrate, and I add that after I've finished, or at least 2 hours after I've added the magnesium sulphate, the Epsom salts. About once a month I get myself some hydrogen peroxide and I add it to the mixture. The way I do it is I use a compounding syringe, cost me $2 at the local pharmacy, bit of tube on the end. I draw out 15 mils, which gives me about 1,000 to 1 dilution. This, by the way, is 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide, so like it's not the stuff you buy off the chemist shelf. I ordered this in specially. 2.5 litres might sound a lot, and it is an awful lot, but I also use it for drain cleaner and other things. But this 15 mils I'm going to add to a bucket of calcium nitrate, which is going to go into the mix in a short time. I've already added a bucket of Campbell's special tea and a bucket of Epsom salts to the mix. Now what I'm doing is I'll rinse this out. I've already got the calcium nitrate in here. It's due to be added in about a half an hour. But I'll put the hydrogen peroxide in like that. Excuse me. Then I use the paint stirrer on the end of an 18-volt drill. It does a brilliant job of mixing everything up, and it also aerates the water quite nicely if you use it to do that. Okay, it's half an hour later. We've got 15 mils of hydrogen peroxide at 35% in our bucket of calcium nitrate, which I'm about to add to 150 litres of nutrient solution. Essentially what it ends up is, with the 35%, it ends up in a 1 in 10,000 dilution, which is the same as adding 1 mil per litre of the 3% solution. And that's about the strength, that's all the strength that I need. And what I've found is that definitely enhances the root growth. You get a lot of those lovely little white feeder roots. So combined with staging the addition of nutrients, like I put in the Campbell's special tea, an hour or two later I put in the Epsom salts, an hour or two later, or 6 hours later, I put in the calcium nitrate. I'm adding it after 2 hours today, but that'll work. Don't forget, I don't do Google Plus, so I can't reply to any of the comments that you put on the video, but you can always get a hold of me at toddadell91@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.